The Power of Not Reacting. The Art of Quiet Control, written and published by Inspire Audiobook. Introduction. The Hidden Strength of Stillness. What if I told you that true power doesn't come from domination or force, but from stillness, from the quiet control of your emotions? In a world that celebrates loudness, reacting to every little thing can leave you exhausted, lost, and out of control. But there's another way. A path that few dare to walk. The path of quiet control. The art of not reacting is more than silence. It's a powerful skill that gives you clarity when others are clouded by rage, patience when others rush to judgment, and resilience when life hits you hardest. It's about responding, not reacting. Choosing, not merely surviving. Imagine this. Instead of being a puppet to your emotions, you become the master of your inner world. You find strength in the pause, wisdom in restraint, and power in calmness. You gain the ability to shape your reality, not by force, but by clarity and control. This is your invitation to transform, to cultivate unshakable peace and authentic power. The journey begins now. Are you ready to embrace the art of quiet control? Chapter 1. Why we react. The triggers of emotional outbursts. Why do we react? It's a question many of us ask when we look back on moments of anger, frustration, or panic. Whether it's a rude comment, a sudden change of plans, or even a slight inconvenience, our emotional triggers can ignite a firestorm of reaction. To understand the power of not reacting, we must first understand why we react in the first place. At its core, our tendency to react stems from the most primitive parts of our brain. The amygdala, often referred to as the brain's alarm system, is responsible for detecting threats and triggering the fight, flight, or freeze response. This mechanism was essential for our ancestors when survival depended on quick, instinctive reactions to physical danger. But in the modern world, this same mechanism can be triggered by emotional threats, criticism, rejection, or perceived disrespect. The brain doesn't differentiate between physical danger and emotional discomfort. It only knows that something feels threatening and responds accordingly. Yet, while the biological explanation provides insight into why we react, it doesn't justify our reactions. In fact, living in a constant state of emotional reactivity robs us of peace and clarity. The problem isn't that we feel strong emotions. The problem arises when we allow those emotions to dictate our actions. How many relationships have been damaged, opportunities missed, and regrets accumulated simply because of uncontrolled reactions? Reacting impulsively is like throwing gasoline on a small flame. What could have been calmly resolved with a measured response becomes an uncontrollable blaze of misunderstanding and resentment. Beyond biology, our reactions are also shaped by deeply ingrained conditioning and belief systems. Our upbringing, cultural background, and personal experiences all contribute to how we respond to the world around us. If you were raised in an environment where anger was the go-to response to conflict, it's likely you've carried that habit into adulthood. Similarly, if you grew up being overly criticized or dismissed, your instinct might be to react defensively whenever you feel threatened or judged. This conditioning is powerful, but it's not unchangeable. Emotional triggers are like landmines hidden within our psyche. When someone steps on one, we explode. The triggers themselves are unique to each individual. For some, it's feeling disrespected. For others, it's feeling ignored or misunderstood. Triggers often arise from unresolved wounds, past traumas, insecurities, or unhealed emotional pain. When we react, it's usually not just about the present moment, it's about all the unresolved emotions we've been carrying around like heavy baggage. To master the art of not reacting, we must first identify our triggers and the deeper issues behind them. Recognizing our triggers is the first step toward quiet control. It requires self-awareness and brutal honesty. We must be willing to look within and acknowledge our emotional patterns. Journaling can be a powerful tool for this purpose. By documenting moments when we overreact or feel overwhelmed, we can begin to identify recurring themes. What kinds of situations set us off? What emotions arise most frequently? anger, frustration, fear, or insecurity. What stories do we tell ourselves in those moments? Often we find that our reactions are tied to beliefs that are outdated or untrue. But identifying triggers is only half the battle. We must also understand the narratives that fuel them. For example, if criticism is a trigger, it's often because we've attached our self-worth to external validation. If rejection triggers a strong reaction, it may be due to a fear of inadequacy rooted in past experiences. When we uncover these underlying beliefs, we gain the power to question their validity and reframe them. This process doesn't eliminate the triggers, but it does weaken their grip on us. It's important to remember that we cannot control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. Learning to identify our emotional triggers and the beliefs that fuel them is the foundation of mastering quiet control. Once we become aware of what triggers us, we can begin to consciously choose a different response. Rather than allowing our emotions to dictate our actions, we can train ourselves to respond with calmness and clarity. This is the first step in transforming reactivity into deliberate, empowered action. The journey to mastering the art of not reacting begins with self-awareness. The more we understand our triggers, the better equipped we are to diffuse them before they explode. In the chapters ahead, we will dive deeper into the techniques and practices that can help us break free from the cycle of emotional reactivity and step into a life of quiet control. Chapter 2: The Illusion of Control. Why reacting often makes things worse. One of the most powerful insights a person can gain is the realization that our immediate reactions are often the very things that strip us of our control. We mistakenly believe that reacting quickly and forcefully demonstrates strength and power. We feel compelled to assert ourselves, to defend our pride, to prove something to the world. But this desperate need to react is precisely what leaves us at the mercy of our surroundings. The truth is, when we react impulsively, we hand over our power to whatever or whoever triggered that reaction. When you lose control of your emotions, you lose control of the situation. Think about it. How many times have you reacted in the heat of the moment only to regret it later? The harsh words spoken during an argument that you can never take back. The impulsive decision made out of frustration that led to a worse outcome. The unnecessary conflict that arose from a misplaced sense of pride. These reactions are not signs of power. They are signs of emotional captivity. Reacting often makes things worse because it bypasses our ability to think clearly. When we act on impulse, we forfeit the opportunity to assess a situation from a calm, rational perspective. Our emotions hijack our judgment, and we end up making decisions that hurt us rather than help us. Worse still, our reactions can provoke negative responses from others, creating a vicious cycle of conflict and escalation. Emotional reactivity is often rooted in the illusion of control. We believe that by reacting strongly, we can influence or change external circumstances. But the harsh reality is that most things are beyond our control. We cannot control how others behave, what they say, or how they perceive us. We cannot control life's unpredictable twists and turns. The more we try to exert control over the uncontrollable, the more frustrated and disempowered we feel. Paradoxically, true control comes from letting go of the need to react. It comes from recognizing that our power lies not in trying to change what happens, but in deciding how we respond to it. This subtle but profound distinction is the essence of quiet control. By choosing not to react impulsively, we reclaim our ability to respond from a place of strength, clarity, and intention. Consider how overreacting can damage your relationships, credibility, and peace of mind. When you react angrily or defensively to criticism, for example, you push people away and close yourself off from constructive feedback. When you react with desperation to setbacks, you make decisions driven by fear rather than wisdom. Even in moments of triumph, reacting with arrogance or entitlement can sow seeds of future downfall. The problem with reacting impulsively is that it leaves us vulnerable to manipulation. Those who seek to control or provoke you often rely on your emotional reactivity. They know that if they push the right buttons, you will respond predictably. When you react without thinking, you are essentially handing them the keys to your emotions. Furthermore, reacting harshly to perceived threats or challenges often leads to overcompensation. Instead of addressing the problem with measured, thoughtful action, we rush to assert control in ways that are more destructive than constructive. This can take many forms: verbal outbursts, aggressive behavior, rash decisions, or even passive-aggressive responses meant to punish others. The illusion of control is a powerful force because it convinces us that reacting forcefully is a demonstration of strength. But true strength is revealed in the ability to remain composed when everything around you is trying to provoke you. It's the ability to maintain your inner peace, regardless of external chaos. This is not weakness, it is wisdom. Developing quiet control requires a shift in mindset. You must recognize that not everything demands your immediate reaction. Some situations are best handled with patience and composure. This doesn't mean ignoring problems or allowing others to mistreat you. It means choosing your responses wisely and deliberately. It means refusing to let external circumstances dictate your internal state. One powerful way to break free from the illusion of control is to practice detachment. Detachment doesn't mean becoming indifferent or unemotional. Instead, it means separating your sense of self-worth from external events. It's understanding that your inner peace is not dependent on how others treat you or how well things go according to your plans. The path to quiet control also involves building emotional resilience. This means strengthening your ability to remain calm and composed even when facing adversity. It means training your mind to respond with patience and understanding rather than frustration and anger. Emotional resilience is not something you develop overnight, but with consistent practice, it becomes a natural part of who you are. Remember, not reacting doesn't mean being passive or weak. It means being intentional. It means choosing your battles wisely and responding only when it truly serves your higher purpose. When you master the art of not reacting, you gain a level of freedom and empowerment that few ever achieve. Ultimately, quiet control is about reclaiming your power. It's about recognizing that true strength is rooted in composure, not aggression. It's about realizing that you don't have to react to everything life throws your way. You have the choice to remain calm, to assess, and to respond only when it truly matters. This is the essence of quiet control, and once you embrace this approach, you will find a profound sense of peace and power that no one can take away from you. Chapter 3. Cultivating Inner Awareness. Becoming the observer of your emotions. To master the art of not reacting, you must first develop a deep sense of inner awareness. This awareness is the foundation of quiet control. It is about observing your thoughts, emotions, and impulses without letting them dictate your actions. It's about stepping back from the automatic reactions you have been conditioned to have and instead choosing how to respond with intention. Without this foundational awareness, you will always be at the mercy of your triggers, reacting impulsively rather than responding wisely. When you begin to cultivate inner awareness, you shift from being controlled by your emotions to becoming the observer of your emotions. This concept may sound simple, but in practice it requires consistent effort and discipline. The first step is recognizing that you are not your emotions. Emotions are temporary states that come and go. They are not permanent reflections of who you are. When you start to see emotions as passing clouds rather than the sky itself, you gain a powerful sense of freedom. The journey of cultivating inner awareness begins with mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment, observing your thoughts and emotions without judgment. This practice helps you recognize your habitual reactions and identify the triggers that set them off. Mindfulness is not about suppressing your emotions but understanding them deeply. When you practice mindfulness regularly, you begin to notice patterns in your reactions, certain words, people, or situations that consistently cause you to react impulsively. To develop mindfulness, start by setting aside a few minutes each day to sit quietly and focus on your breath. As thoughts and emotions arise, acknowledge them without judgment and gently return your focus to your breathing. Over time, this practice will help you become more aware of your mental and emotional states throughout the day. You will notice when anger starts to build, when frustration begins to simmer, or when anxiety takes hold. More importantly, you will realize that you have the power to choose how to respond to these emotions rather than being controlled by them. Another powerful tool for cultivating inner awareness is journaling. Keeping a journal allows you to reflect on your emotional experiences and gain insight into your patterns of reactivity. After a stressful interaction or an emotional outburst, take a moment to write down what happened, what was said, how did it make you feel, what thoughts ran through your mind. More importantly, ask yourself why you reacted the way you did. Was your reaction rooted in fear, insecurity, or a past wound? By asking these questions, you begin to uncover the deeper reasons behind your emotional responses. Journaling is also an excellent way to track your progress over time. As you continue to reflect on your emotions and reactions, you will start to see patterns that were previously hidden. You might discover that certain triggers are tied to unresolved issues from your past, or that your reactions are often exaggerated by irrational beliefs. The act of writing helps you process these insights and creates a sense of clarity that is essential for inner awareness. One of the most effective methods of observing your emotions is the technique of naming the feeling. When you experience an intense emotion, take a moment to identify it by name. For example, instead of simply feeling overwhelmed, you might identify the emotion as frustration, anxiety, or even sadness. By naming the feeling, you create a sense of distance between yourself and the emotion. You begin to see it as something separate from your identity, something you can examine rather than be consumed by. Another important aspect of cultivating inner awareness is understanding your emotional triggers. Triggers are the experiences, words, or situations that cause you to react impulsively. To gain control over your reactions, you must first identify these triggers. Pay attention to the moments when you feel anger, frustration, or defensiveness rising within you. What specific circumstances brought those emotions to the surface? Was it something someone said, a particular tone of voice, or even an imagined slight? By identifying your triggers, you empower yourself to break the automatic cycle of reaction. It's also important to recognize that triggers are often rooted in deeper issues. They may stem from past experiences, insecurities, or unresolved pain. For example, if criticism from a colleague triggers intense defensiveness, it could be because of a deeper fear of inadequacy. Becoming aware of these underlying issues requires honest self-reflection and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about yourself. But once you bring these issues to light, you can begin to heal from them and respond to situations with greater composure. As you cultivate inner awareness, you will notice a profound shift in how you respond to the world. You will find yourself pausing before reacting, taking a moment to assess the situation rather than immediately jumping to conclusions. This pause creates a space for conscious choice, allowing you to act from a place of calmness and clarity rather than emotional turmoil. This practice is not about suppressing your emotions or pretending they don't exist. Instead, it is about embracing them fully, acknowledging their presence, and then deciding how to respond from a place of strength and wisdom. The goal is not to eliminate emotions, but to transform your relationship with them. When you become the observer of your emotions, you gain a powerful tool for mastering the art of quiet control. You realize that you have the ability to respond rather than react, to choose rather than be driven by unconscious impulses. This shift in perspective will not only enhance your personal power, but also bring a deeper sense of peace and fulfillment into your life. Cultivating inner awareness is an ongoing practice. It requires patience, dedication, and compassion for yourself as you grow. But with time, you will discover that the power of not reacting lies in the space between stimulus and response, a space where you can choose who you want to be and how you want to live. Chapter 4. The Power of the Pause. Learning to delay your reactions in our fast-paced world, the urge to react immediately is overwhelming. Whether it's a sudden insult, an unexpected challenge, or an overwhelming situation, our first instinct is often to react. We feel an intense need to immediately address the problem, fix the situation, or defend ourselves. However, in the midst of these powerful emotional impulses lies the secret to mastering the art of quiet control, the pause. The pause is not merely a moment of silence, but a deliberate, purposeful delay in response. It is an intentional space where you choose how to act, think, and respond, instead of letting your emotions dictate your actions. The ability to pause before reacting is perhaps one of the most underrated skills in life. It is a tool that empowers you to take charge of your emotional state and interactions, preventing rash decisions, escalating conflicts, and unnecessary stress. It is the difference between losing your temper and maintaining your composure, between giving in to negative emotions and responding with clarity and confidence. Learning to pause is not as simple as just waiting for a few seconds before reacting. It is about building the awareness to recognize the impulse to react and then choosing not to follow through with it. This requires a heightened level of self-awareness, a willingness to observe your thoughts and feelings without immediately acting on them. The pause is not just about stopping, it's about choosing a better, more intentional course of action. When you pause, you allow yourself the time to assess the situation calmly, gather your thoughts, and choose your response carefully, rather than being driven by automatic emotional responses. It's important to realize that this is not about suppressing emotions or denying your feelings. It's about creating space between your emotions and your actions so that your emotions don't dictate the outcome. When you react impulsively, you may regret your actions later, or worse, damage relationships, create unnecessary tension, or even make decisions you can't undo. By learning to pause, you give yourself the opportunity to make thoughtful, measured decisions that align with your values and goals. But how exactly do you learn the power of the pause? The first step is mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment without judgment. When you are mindful, you can notice the subtle shift in your body and mind as emotions start to rise. You can catch yourself in the early stages of an emotional reaction before it snowballs into an outburst or impulsive decision. By cultivating mindfulness, you create the awareness needed to pause before reacting. For instance, when you feel your anger rising, instead of allowing it to take over, you can pause, take a deep breath, and observe the anger. What is it really telling you? What triggered it? By simply acknowledging the emotion without judgment, you give yourself the power to choose how to respond. Another powerful technique to build the pause is deep breathing. When you feel your emotions intensifying, focus on your breath. Inhale slowly through your nose, hold it for a moment, and exhale deeply through your mouth. This simple act helps to center your mind and body, slowing down the rush of emotions and giving you time to think. Deep breathing also activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which calms the body and reduces the physical symptoms of stress, making it easier to think clearly and respond with intention. Additionally, you can practice the pause by setting boundaries with yourself. In moments of emotional intensity, remind yourself that you are in control of your responses. You have the power to decide how you will react, and the pause is your opportunity to exercise that power. When faced with a difficult situation, instead of rushing in with a reaction, commit to giving yourself at least a few seconds of silence before responding. This may sound simple, but in the heat of the moment, those few seconds can feel like an eternity. However, in those moments of stillness, you can evaluate the situation from a more rational and objective perspective. By embracing the pause, you allow your mind to step back from the emotional whirlwind and assess the bigger picture. It's important to remember that the pause is not just about delaying your reaction, but also about shifting your perspective. In those moments of pause, ask yourself questions that can guide you toward a wiser response. For example, what is the best outcome I want from this situation? How do I want to feel after I've handled this? What can I do or say that aligns with my long-term goals? These questions help you move from a reactive mindset to a thoughtful, deliberate one, which ultimately leads to more peaceful and productive outcomes. One of the most powerful benefits of the pause is that it prevents the escalation of conflict. How many times have you found yourself in an argument, only to realize later that your initial reaction only made things worse? When emotions are high, it's easy to say things you don't mean, make accusations, or take actions that you later regret. The pause gives you the opportunity to stop the cycle of escalation before it begins. When someone challenges you, instead of retaliating or defending yourself immediately, take a moment to breathe, reflect, and decide whether your response is necessary or helpful. Often, the best response is silence or a calm, measured statement that diffuses the situation without adding fuel to the fire. Over time, you'll notice that your ability to pause and respond thoughtfully leads to more harmonious relationships and greater respect from others. People will begin to recognize your emotional maturity and self-control, which will in turn earn you more influence and trust. The pause also improves your decision-making. When you don't immediately react, you give yourself the space to think through your options and make the best decision. In high-pressure situations, it can be tempting to act quickly to resolve the issue, but this often leads to hasty decisions that you later regret. By taking a step back, even for just a few moments, you allow yourself the time to think more clearly, evaluate the situation, and consider all possible outcomes. The pause enables you to respond in ways that are not only more thoughtful, but also more effective. It's about making conscious choices that lead to better results in both your personal and professional life. Finally, the pause is a powerful tool for cultivating inner peace. When you master the ability to pause, you reduce the impact that external circumstances have on your emotional state. You no longer feel like a victim of your reactions, but rather a powerful creator of your responses. The pause helps you regain control of your mind and body, allowing you to approach life's challenges with calm and clarity. Over time, this practice of pausing becomes a cornerstone of your emotional resilience. It is a habit that you can integrate into every aspect of your life, from work to relationships to personal growth. The more you practice the pause, the easier it becomes to maintain a steady, calm demeanor, no matter what life throws your way. In conclusion, the power of the pause is not just about delaying your reactions, it's about giving yourself the space to choose how you want to respond in any given moment. By learning to pause, you gain the ability to control your emotions, make wiser decisions, and respond to challenges with clarity and calm. This practice is transformative, not just for managing difficult situations, but for creating a life of purpose, peace, and power. As you cultivate the pause, you will find that it becomes your greatest tool for maintaining emotional control and living with intention. Chapter 5: Emotional Resilience. Strengthening your inner core. Emotional resilience is the ability to withstand, adapt to, and recover from life's challenges, setbacks, and emotional storms. It's not about being impervious to pain, frustration, or disappointment, but rather about how we respond to those inevitable experiences. Resilience is not a trait we are born with. It is a skill that can be cultivated, honed, and strengthened through consistent effort and practice. In the context of quiet control, emotional resilience plays a vital role. It enables us to stay composed, grounded, and centered even when the world around us is chaotic or challenging. Developing this inner strength gives us the capacity to not only endure difficulties, but also to grow from them, turning adversity into an opportunity for transformation. At its core, emotional resilience is about emotional regulation. It's about understanding your emotions without letting them take over. It's about learning to feel deeply yet respond calmly. This is where the power of not reacting comes into play. In times of stress, conflict, or pressure, the urge to react impulsively is strong. It's human nature. However, when we train ourselves to pause, reflect, and choose a more thoughtful response, we tap into a deeper level of emotional resilience that empowers us to navigate life's challenges with poise and wisdom. One of the first steps in developing emotional resilience is acknowledging that challenges are a part of life. This might sound simple, but it's a mindset shift that many of us overlook. We live in a world that often prioritizes instant gratification and smooth, uninterrupted progress. As a result, we become easily frustrated when things don't go as planned or when we face obstacles. But true resilience comes from embracing the idea that difficulties and setbacks are natural. Life is full of unpredictable twists, and learning to ride the waves of uncertainty is key to maintaining emotional balance. By accepting challenges as opportunities for growth, we shift our perspective from victimhood to empowerment. We stop seeing difficulties as threats and start seeing them as chances to prove our strength, flexibility, and emotional maturity. Another critical aspect of emotional resilience is learning how to process emotions healthily. Many people believe that resilience means suppressing negative emotions, but this couldn't be further from the truth. Emotional resilience requires us to honor our feelings without being overwhelmed by them. It's about finding a balance between acknowledging and processing our emotions and not letting them control us. Often when faced with stress or frustration, we might feel the urge to react, perhaps with anger, anxiety, or despair. However, it's important to pause and give ourselves the space to fully feel those emotions, rather than pushing them aside or letting them dictate our actions. This is where emotional regulation techniques come into play. Mindfulness, meditation, and deep breathing exercises are all effective ways to help us ground ourselves in the present moment, allowing us to experience emotions without being consumed by them. Resilience is also strengthened through our relationships. While it's true that we must rely on our inner strength, it's equally important to acknowledge the power of connection. Support systems, whether friends, family, mentors, or even a community, play a significant role in how we cope with difficulties. When we are emotionally resilient, we can lean on others without feeling like a burden. At the same time, we also recognize the importance of maintaining boundaries and not overextending ourselves emotionally. Sometimes, emotional resilience involves knowing when to protect our peace by stepping away from toxic relationships or environments. Building relationships that encourage growth, understanding, and mutual support is essential for long-term resilience. These connections act as a buffer, offering us perspectives, advice, and comfort during times of stress or challenge. They remind us that we are not alone in our struggles and that we have the strength to persevere, both individually and collectively. Another powerful aspect of emotional resilience is self-reflection. When we face difficult situations, it's easy to get caught up in the emotional swirl and lose sight of the bigger picture. But resilient individuals take time to reflect on their experiences. Self-reflection allows us to gain insight into how we reacted to a situation and why we reacted that way. It helps us uncover the deeper emotions, thoughts, and beliefs that drive our responses. By understanding ourselves better, we can identify patterns in our behavior and begin to shift those that no longer serve us. Self-reflection also enables us to develop a deeper sense of empathy and compassion, both for ourselves and others. We learn to forgive ourselves for mistakes and shortcomings, recognizing that they are part of the human experience and an integral part of our growth. Resilience isn't just about bouncing back, it's about bouncing forward. It's about learning and evolving with each challenge we face. It's easy to get discouraged when things don't go as planned, but every obstacle offers us an opportunity to become stronger, more adaptable, and wiser. The process of becoming emotionally resilient involves transforming setbacks into stepping stones for personal growth. Rather than seeing failure as an endpoint, resilient individuals view it as a lesson and an opportunity to refine their approach. It's this mindset that allows us to persevere and thrive despite adversity. As you cultivate emotional resilience, it's important to establish daily practices that help build this inner strength over time. Meditation and mindfulness exercises are effective ways to strengthen your ability to regulate your emotions and stay calm under pressure. These practices encourage self-awareness, helping you recognize emotional triggers before they escalate into full-blown reactions. Additionally, physical practices such as yoga or regular exercise can contribute to emotional resilience by helping release stress and tension stored in the body. By nurturing your body, mind, and spirit, you create a foundation of emotional strength that supports you in times of difficulty. Another key component of building emotional resilience is developing a growth mindset. People with a growth mindset believe that their abilities and intelligence can be developed through effort, learning, and perseverance. This mindset is essential for emotional resilience because it helps us embrace challenges with a sense of curiosity rather than fear. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we begin to ask, "What can I learn from this experience?" By framing challenges as opportunities for growth, we open ourselves up to new possibilities and greater emotional strength. Ultimately, emotional resilience empowers us to stay anchored in our values, principles, and vision for our lives, regardless of the circumstances we face. When we develop this inner strength, we stop reacting impulsively and start responding with intention. We choose how we engage with the world, rather than being at the mercy of external events. And as we continue to practice emotional resilience, we cultivate a sense of inner peace that becomes unshakable, no matter what life throws our way. Emotional resilience is the foundation of quiet control, By strengthening this core muscle, we gain the ability to not only navigate life's storms with grace, but to use our calm and clarity as a source of power, influence, and purpose. And in this quiet strength, we find the true art of not reacting. Chapter 6: The Art of Detachment. Letting go of what you cannot control. Detachment is one of the most powerful skills we can develop, especially when we strive to master the art of not reacting. It is the ability to let go of outcomes, expectations, and attachments to things beyond our control, which in turn frees us from unnecessary stress and emotional turmoil. The world around us is filled with variables, and trying to control everything that happens is not only exhausting but also futile. Letting go does not mean surrendering or becoming passive. Rather, it is the recognition that the only thing we truly control is our response to circumstances, not the circumstances themselves. At its core, detachment is about understanding that we cannot dictate every aspect of our lives. Life unfolds in unpredictable ways, and sometimes, despite our best efforts, things don't go as planned. In these moments, the ability to detach from the need for control can create space for peace. Instead of being swept away by emotions, we stand firm in our sense of self, knowing that what truly matters is not what happens to us but how we react to it. This shift in mindset allows us to experience situations with greater clarity, calmness, and resilience. We stop fighting against reality and instead embrace what is, knowing we can respond with wisdom and grace. One of the key aspects of detachment is recognizing that not everything is personal. Often, when things go wrong or others behave in ways that upset us, our immediate reaction is to take it personally. We feel hurt, angry, or frustrated, as though the world is targeting us. This is a natural human response, but it is also a trap that keeps us entangled in unnecessary suffering. People's actions, decisions, and words are often more about them than they are about us. When we detach from the need to internalize everything, we gain the ability to observe without judgment and respond without emotional overreaction. A powerful practice in detachment is recognizing the boundary between what we can influence and what we cannot. There is a vast difference between what we can control, our thoughts, emotions, and actions, and what lies outside our grasp, other people's behaviors, the past, or the future. Most of the time, we waste energy worrying about things beyond our control. For example, you might worry about someone else's opinion of you, or about events that could potentially unfold in ways you cannot predict. The truth is, most of these things are outside your sphere of influence. When you let go of the desire to control them, you regain your energy and focus, directing it toward what you can change, your own responses and decisions. This shift not only brings peace, but also a sense of empowerment as you learn to focus on the present moment and take purposeful actions that align with your values and goals. Detachment is also essential in dealing with failure or setbacks. It's easy to become emotionally attached to the idea of success, and when we don't achieve it, we can feel as though we've lost something important. But the truth is, failure is a natural part of the learning process, and nothing is truly lost unless we allow ourselves to remain attached to the outcome. By letting go of the need to be perfect and embracing imperfection, we open ourselves up to growth. Failure becomes a lesson rather than a defeat, and we find ourselves able to move forward with resilience rather than stagnate in regret. Detachment helps us to see failure for what it is, a stepping stone towards success, not a final destination. In relationships, detachment becomes equally powerful. Many of us become emotionally entangled with others, whether it's with family, friends, or romantic partners. We often feel responsible for how others feel or believe that we must fix their problems in order to maintain harmony. But this creates unnecessary pressure and drains our emotional resources. Detachment in relationships means that we can care deeply for others while also respecting their autonomy and recognizing that we cannot control their emotions or decisions. This doesn't mean we stop being there for them, but rather, we allow them the space to grow and make their own choices, free of our interference. It also means that we stop taking on their emotional baggage as our own. By practicing this kind of detachment, we cultivate healthier, more balanced relationships. In the realm of work and achievement, detachment is vital for maintaining peace of mind. Ambition is important, But when we become too attached to specific outcomes or timelines, we risk losing our sense of self-worth when things don't go according to plan. We may equate our success with our identity, creating stress and anxiety when progress feels slow or when things don't turn out as expected. Detachment allows us to engage in our work with passion and dedication without becoming defined by the results. We can pursue our goals with focus and determination, but we can also surrender the need to control every aspect of the journey. This freedom from outcome allows us to remain calm, adaptable, and open to new opportunities as they arise. One way to practice detachment in daily life is through mindfulness. By cultivating present moment awareness, we learn to observe our thoughts and feelings without becoming overly involved with them. When we practice mindfulness, we stop identifying ourselves with every emotion that arises. Instead, we see them as temporary experiences that come and go. This helps us detach from our emotional reactions and allows us to choose our response thoughtfully. Regular mindfulness practice trains our minds to become less reactive and more resilient in the face of life's challenges. Another effective practice for detachment is journaling. Writing allows us to reflect on our experiences and express our emotions in a healthy way. By putting our thoughts on paper, we can gain perspective on situations that might otherwise feel overwhelming. Journaling helps us release attachment to specific outcomes and see the bigger picture. It also provides a space to explore our thoughts and feelings without judgment, allowing us to detach from our own stories and create a sense of emotional freedom. Detachment is not about withdrawing or becoming indifferent. It is about engaging with life fully, but without the emotional burden of trying to control or manipulate outcomes. It's about choosing how we respond to what happens around us, instead of letting our emotions dictate our actions. The practice of detachment empowers us to navigate life with grace, wisdom, and clarity. It gives us the freedom to act from a place of inner strength, not reaction, and to find peace in the face of chaos. As you move forward on your journey, remember that detachment is a skill that takes time to develop. It requires patience, practice, and self-awareness. But as you learn to let go of what you cannot control, you will find that life becomes less stressful, more fulfilling, and far more peaceful. You will begin to experience the true power of quiet control, where your ability to detach from external chaos leads to an inner calm that no external circumstance can disturb. Through detachment, you tap into a deeper sense of peace that remains untouched by the storms of life, allowing you to live with clarity, confidence, and control over your own destiny. Chapter 7: Mastering Conversations. How Not Reacting Enhances Communication. In the world of communication, our reactions often carry more weight than our words. It's easy to get caught up in the rush of emotions during conversations, especially when tensions rise and the instinct to react kicks in. Yet, mastering the art of not reacting is the key to becoming a powerful communicator. It's not about suppressing your feelings or remaining silent when you have something important to say. Rather, it's about controlling your responses, staying present, and choosing the right moment to express yourself with clarity and purpose. This chapter delves into the profound impact that mastering non-reaction can have on your ability to communicate effectively, whether in difficult situations, during confrontations, or even in everyday exchanges. The first aspect of communication that gets disrupted when we react impulsively is the depth of listening. When you're caught in the emotional heat of the moment, you're no longer truly hearing the other person. Instead, your mind is preparing a counter-response, anticipating what you're going to say next. This preoccupation with formulating your reply clouds your ability to listen actively, which is the foundation of meaningful conversations. When you stop reacting and allow space between the words spoken and your response, you invite the ability to hear more than just the surface-level content of the conversation. You begin to understand the underlying emotions, the intentions, and the unsaid feelings that are often the most important part of what someone is trying to convey. Think of a heated argument with a colleague or a disagreement with a loved one. The natural instinct is to defend your position, to react with frustration or anger, and to try to win the conversation. However, in these moments, true communication is lost, and all that remains is a clash of egos. When you react emotionally, you not only shut down the possibility for productive dialogue, but you also contribute to the escalation of the situation. On the other hand, when you consciously choose not to react immediately, you create space for the conversation to evolve in a more constructive direction. That space allows you to process the words, reflect on their intent, and assess whether your response will enhance the discussion or further fuel the conflict. Mastering non-reaction in conversations doesn't mean becoming a passive participant. In fact, it requires a high level of engagement and self-awareness. You must remain fully present, paying attention not just to what is being said, but to how it's being said and why. This involves cultivating empathy, understanding the emotions behind the words, and refraining from jumping to conclusions or judgments. When you hold your emotional response in check, you're not only allowing yourself to process the conversation more thoughtfully, but you're also giving the other person the space to express themselves fully, without the pressure of defending their words against a reactionary retort. One of the most powerful tools in mastering conversations is the art of silence. Silence can be an incredibly potent tool for control and influence. It's easy to overlook the power of a pause in the midst of a conversation, but those moments of quiet are where true strength lies. When you choose not to react immediately, you let the other person speak without interruption. It signals to them that you're engaged, that you value what they're saying, and that you're taking the time to understand their perspective. In these moments of silence, you have the opportunity to assess the situation, gather your thoughts, and respond in a way that aligns with your values and goals, rather than reacting out of frustration, pride, or defensiveness. For example, imagine you're in a meeting at work, and a colleague challenges your idea or criticizes something you've done. Your initial response might be to defend yourself, to justify your actions, or even to become defensive. But instead of reacting, try pausing for a moment. Take a deep breath, observe your thoughts and emotions, and allow yourself to center. This moment of silence can be incredibly powerful, as it not only calms your nervous system, but also creates space for a more measured and thoughtful response. You might choose to acknowledge the criticism, ask clarifying questions, or offer a counterpoint without becoming emotionally charged. By not reacting impulsively, you convey confidence and composure, which often leaves a stronger impression than any immediate rebuttal could. In addition to pausing, another key element of mastering non-reaction in conversations is choosing your words carefully. Words, once spoken, cannot be taken back, and they have the power to either build bridges or destroy them. When you've practiced non-reaction, you've cultivated the ability to think before you speak. You can still assert yourself and express your thoughts, but you do so in a way that's deliberate and composed. Instead of blurting out whatever comes to mind in the heat of the moment, you have the clarity to choose language that aligns with your values, expresses your point without aggression, and contributes to the conversation in a way that builds understanding rather than creating division. Furthermore, by not reacting emotionally, you set the tone for the conversation. People often mirror the energy they receive, so if you remain calm and composed, it encourages the other person to do the same. This doesn't mean you need to suppress your emotions, but rather that you manage them effectively, creating an environment where the conversation can proceed without escalating into something unproductive or hurtful. In situations where others may try to provoke you or manipulate your emotions, not reacting becomes a powerful tool for maintaining your own integrity and preventing others from drawing you into a negative spiral. In relationships, whether personal or professional, the ability to not react impulsively can make all the difference. It creates an environment of mutual respect and understanding, allowing both parties to express themselves freely and work through disagreements without personal attacks or emotional outbursts. When you stop reacting, you also model emotional intelligence for others, teaching them the value of pausing, reflecting, and responding thoughtfully. Over time, this not only strengthens your communication skills, but also your relationships, as trust and respect deepen when both parties feel heard and valued. Mastering the art of not reacting also opens the door to deeper self-awareness. The more you practice quiet control in conversations, the more you begin to understand your own emotional triggers and reactions. This self-awareness empowers you to make conscious decisions about how you engage with others and how you respond to the challenges life throws at you. As you refine your ability to stay calm, you build confidence in your own ability to navigate even the most difficult situations with grace and composure. In conclusion, mastering conversations by not reacting is a skill that requires patience, practice, and self-discipline. It involves stepping back, choosing silence over impulsivity, and responding with intention rather than emotion. This practice not only enhances your communication, but also strengthens your relationships, boosts your confidence, and allows you to move through life with greater control and clarity. As you continue to cultivate this skill, you'll find that your words carry more weight, your presence is more commanding, and your ability to influence and connect with others becomes more profound. Chapter 8. Applying quiet control in relationships and social dynamics. One of the most profound applications of quiet control is in the realm of relationships and social dynamics. In a world that thrives on instant reactions, where everyone is quick to voice their opinions and emotions, the true strength lies in the ability to remain composed, to not react impulsively, and to approach interactions with calmness and intention. This is where the art of quiet control becomes a superpower. In relationships, whether personal or professional, the way we respond or don't respond can deeply impact the quality of our connections and influence the trajectory of our interactions. First, let's understand that relationships often bring out the best and the worst in us. When we feel attacked, misunderstood, or threatened, the natural tendency is to react, to defend ourselves, to justify our actions, or to retaliate. However, in doing so, we often escalate conflict, create tension, and add fuel to the fire. Every time we react out of emotional impulse, we lose control, and in that moment we give our power away to the situation or the other person. This is the precise moment where the art of quiet control becomes essential. When you practice quiet control, you intentionally choose not to react impulsively. Instead, you pause and allow yourself to process the situation with clarity and awareness. By doing this, you not only maintain your composure, but you also show the other person that you are in control of your emotions, which in turn commands respect. The beauty of this approach is that it doesn't require you to suppress your emotions or pretend that you're not affected. Rather, it encourages you to acknowledge your feelings without allowing them to dictate your actions. By acknowledging your emotions and choosing a measured response, you empower yourself and keep the interaction grounded. For example, in a heated argument with a friend or partner, instead of reacting in anger or frustration, you could choose to pause. You might take a few deep breaths, collect your thoughts, and consider your response. The pause doesn't mean you're giving in or being passive, it simply means you're choosing to be deliberate in your response, to respond with purpose, rather than out of automatic reaction. In doing so, you create a space for more constructive dialogue, for deeper understanding, and for a resolution that doesn't involve unnecessary conflict or hurt feelings. Quiet control is particularly powerful in moments of emotional tension. It allows you to approach difficult conversations with an open mind, without the pressure of needing to win or prove a point. You become more attuned to the other person's perspective, more open to understanding their feelings, and more willing to find common ground. This mindset doesn't only apply to confrontations, it extends to every interaction, in social situations. Whether with family, friends, or colleagues, remaining calm and composed allows you to communicate effectively and create an environment where healthy exchange can take place. People naturally gravitate toward individuals who exhibit emotional stability, and the more you practice quiet control, the more you cultivate an atmosphere of trust and respect in your relationships. One of the key components of quiet control in relationships is setting boundaries. In many cases, emotional reactions occur when we feel our boundaries are being crossed or disrespected. We might find ourselves reacting defensively when someone interrupts us, dismisses our opinion, or invades our personal space. But instead of lashing out or allowing resentment to build, quiet control invites us to assess the situation and respond with clarity. Setting a boundary doesn't have to involve aggression or confrontation. It simply requires a calm and assertive statement that communicates our needs without apology. For instance, if someone is interrupting you in a conversation, instead of reacting with irritation, you could calmly say, "I'd like to finish my thought, and I'll listen to you right after." This response not only preserves your emotional control but also teaches others to respect your space and your voice. Furthermore, applying quiet control in relationships requires you to cultivate empathy and understanding. When you take the time to pause and reflect on a situation, you allow yourself the opportunity to consider the other person's perspective. Why are they behaving this way? What are they feeling? What might be motivating their actions? When you approach others with empathy, you are less likely to react impulsively because you are attuned to their needs and emotions. This doesn't mean you should ignore your own feelings or sacrifice your needs for the sake of others. Rather, it means you approach each interaction with a sense of mutual respect and understanding, which can diffuse potential conflict and lead to healthier, more balanced relationships. The concept of quiet control also plays a crucial role in professional settings where emotions can easily run high. Whether it's a challenging client, a demanding boss, or a colleague with whom you disagree, maintaining your composure in professional environments is essential. Reactions in these situations can have far-reaching consequences, affecting your reputation, your relationships with colleagues, and even your career advancement. In the workplace, quiet control manifests as a level-headed approach to problem-solving, an ability to handle criticism with grace, and a calm demeanor when navigating stressful or high-pressure situations. Imagine a scenario where you receive harsh feedback from a supervisor or a colleague. The instinct might be to defend yourself, to justify your actions, or to explain why things went wrong. However, reacting impulsively in such a situation can make you appear defensive and closed off. By practicing quiet control, you instead choose to listen intently, absorb the feedback, and respond thoughtfully. You might thank the person for their input, express your desire to improve, and ask for clarification if needed. This approach not only shows maturity, but also sets a positive example for others around you. It demonstrates emotional intelligence, the ability to manage your emotions and navigate difficult conversations without losing your sense of self. Quiet control can also be a powerful tool when dealing with manipulation or negative social dynamics. In toxic environments where gossip, drama, or power struggles are prevalent, remaining calm and composed can help you avoid getting caught up in the chaos. When others try to provoke a reaction from you, whether it's through passive-aggressive behavior, insults, or deliberate attempts to manipulate, your response, or lack of response, speaks volumes. By not reacting, you deny them the satisfaction of seeing you lose control, which not only protects your peace, but also places you in a position of authority. It can disarm even the most aggressive individuals and deter them from attempting to provoke you again. In this way, quiet control becomes an incredibly potent form of self-preservation. Ultimately, applying quiet control in relationships and social dynamics isn't about avoiding conflict or suppressing your emotions. It's about choosing the right moments to speak, to act, and to engage. It's about taking the time to reflect, to understand, and to respond with intention, rather than reacting out of habit or impulse. By doing so, you enhance your emotional intelligence, strengthen your relationships, and create an environment where you and those around you can thrive. Chapter 9. The Quiet Control Mindset, Shaping Your Inner World. The key to mastering the art of quiet control lies not in controlling the external world, but in shaping your inner world. While life often presents chaos, unpredictability, and moments of emotional turbulence, it is our internal state that determines how we respond. The quiet control mindset is the foundation of true emotional power and resilience. It is the ability to remain composed, calm, and thoughtful, no matter what is happening around us. This mindset isn't about suppressing emotions or pretending they don't exist. Instead, it's about acknowledging them without allowing them to control you. It's the ability to observe your thoughts and feelings with curiosity, not judgment, and create space between stimulus and response. This is the essence of emotional freedom, the ability to feel deeply but to choose how to react. To develop the quiet control mindset, we must first acknowledge the importance of patience. In today's fast-paced world, patience often feels like a rarity, and many of us have been conditioned to expect immediate results. Yet, patience is a skill that is integral to emotional mastery. It's the ability to stay present with your emotions without rushing to fix or react to them. Often, when we feel triggered, the instinct is to act immediately, to shout, to argue, or to lash out. But the quiet control mindset encourages a different approach. Pause. When you feel the pressure to react, allow yourself a moment to breathe, to step back, and to reflect. This space is where your power lies. It's where you can consciously choose how you want to engage with the situation. In cultivating patience, we must also learn the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness is a tool that allows us to observe our thoughts and emotions without attachment. We become aware of the subtle reactions and judgments that arise within us, and instead of getting swept up in them, we simply notice them. Mindfulness is about embracing the present moment and observing it with a sense of openness and curiosity. It's in this awareness that the quiet control mindset begins to form. The more mindful we become, the more we can detach ourselves from automatic reactions and instead respond from a place of clarity and intentionality. This mindset shift transforms our ability to navigate conflict, stress, and uncertainty with grace. Rather than being swept away by the emotional currents of life, we learn to steady ourselves in the midst of the storm. As we develop mindfulness, another key component of the quiet control mindset is emotional resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity, to weather life's challenges without losing our sense of self or composure. It is the understanding that hardship is a natural part of life, and instead of resisting it, we lean into it with courage. Resilient individuals don't deny their emotions, but they don't let them define them either. They feel the pain, the frustration, the fear, but they do not allow those emotions to dictate their actions. This is the power of emotional resilience. It is the foundation upon which quiet control is built. The more resilient we become, the more we realize that our emotional state doesn't have to be determined by external events or circumstances. We can choose how we respond, regardless of what's happening around us. One of the most profound aspects of the quiet control mindset is the realization that we cannot control everything. So much of our suffering comes from our desire to control the uncontrollable, the actions of others, the future, the outcomes of our efforts. Yet, the quiet control mindset teaches us that true power lies in letting go of the need for control. Instead of attempting to manipulate or control external events, we focus on mastering our internal world. This shift in focus brings a sense of peace, knowing that the only thing we can truly control is our reaction. This doesn't mean we passively accept things that are harmful or unjust. It means that we respond with intentionality, clarity, and calmness, rather than reacting from a place of fear or anger. This shift from external control to internal mastery also involves letting go of the need for validation. The quiet control mindset doesn't depend on the approval or acknowledgement of others. It is grounded in self-assurance and confidence. When we react out of a need for validation, we are giving our power away. We allow others' opinions to dictate our emotional state. But when we operate from a place of quiet control, we no longer seek validation from the outside world. Our sense of worth comes from within. We no longer need to prove ourselves, defend our actions, or justify our decisions. We simply act in alignment with our values, and we trust that we are enough, exactly as we are. As we move forward in our journey toward mastering the quiet control mindset, it's important to remember that this is not a destination but a lifelong practice. Emotional mastery is a continual process of self-awareness, self-compassion, and growth. We are not aiming for perfection, but for progress. The quiet control mindset is something we return to again and again, refining it as we learn more about ourselves and our emotional patterns. It's not about never feeling angry, upset, or frustrated. It's about understanding that these emotions are temporary and they do not have to define us. We have the power to feel deeply and still choose how we engage with the world. A powerful tool for strengthening the quiet control mindset is visualization. Visualization allows us to mentally rehearse situations where we might typically react impulsively, and instead we imagine ourselves responding with calmness and clarity. By practicing these mental scenarios, we prepare ourselves for real-life challenges. The more we visualize ourselves embodying quiet control, the more natural it becomes when we encounter these situations in the real world. This practice helps us strengthen our emotional muscle, creating new neural pathways that support our ability to remain composed in the face of adversity. Another aspect of the quiet control mindset is the practice of gratitude. When we focus on what is working in our lives rather than what is wrong, we shift our perspective. Gratitude grounds us in the present moment and helps us maintain our emotional balance. It reminds us that even in difficult situations, there is always something to be thankful for. Gratitude has the power to transform our mindset from one of scarcity and fear to one of abundance and calm. It brings us back to a state of balance and peace, reinforcing the quiet control that we are working to develop. Ultimately, the quiet control mindset is about mastery over the self. It is the realization that we have the power to shape our emotional responses, to stay grounded in any situation, and to live with clarity and intentionality. It's not about being emotionless or detached. It's about being in control of our emotional landscape. As we continue to cultivate this mindset, we learn to navigate life's challenges with grace, wisdom, and strength, remaining unshaken by the storms that come our way. The more we embrace this mindset, the more we unlock our true potential. It is through quiet control that we step into our personal power, creating lives that are not only more peaceful, but also more impactful. Chapter 10. The Silent Strength, Using Non-Reaction as a Superpower. In a world that constantly demands reaction, where emotions flare up at the slightest provocation, the ability to remain calm is not just a virtue, it's a superpower. Mastering the art of not reacting transforms every interaction, decision, and outcome, empowering you to navigate life with unmatched clarity and control. In this chapter, we'll explore how non-reaction, the conscious choice to not be governed by external stimuli, becomes your greatest strength, and how it can elevate your personal and professional life. When you first begin practicing non-reaction, it can feel unnatural, almost counterintuitive. Our instinct is to react, whether it's to defend ourselves, assert our beliefs, or even protect our ego. But over time, these knee-jerk reactions only serve to cloud our judgment, stir unnecessary conflict, and drain our energy. Every time we react impulsively, we surrender a little bit of control, allowing our emotions and circumstances to dictate the course of our lives. But when we choose not to react, when we pause, breathe, and reflect before we speak or act, we regain that control. It's in this space between stimulus and response where true power lies. This power is silent, yet incredibly impactful. It's the power to choose, the power to decide your response, rather than be at the mercy of your emotional impulses. Think about the moments in life when you've been caught off guard by an outburst, a sharp comment, or an unexpected challenge. In those moments, our immediate instinct is often to react, to respond with equal force or emotion. But have you ever stopped to notice the profound effect that your lack of reaction has in those very situations? When you remain calm, it disrupts the usual flow of energy. It disarms aggressiveness and turns confrontation into a space for reflection. By choosing silence over anger, composure over frustration, you not only avoid escalating conflict, but also set an example of strength and control. The beauty of non-reaction is that it requires no effort other than to pause. You don't need to raise your voice to be heard. In fact, often the quieter you become, the stronger your presence grows. Consider some of the greatest leaders and visionaries throughout history. Many of them practiced the art of quiet control. Gandhi, for instance, never responded to violence with violence. Instead, he chose non-violence as a form of resistance. This wasn't weakness. Quite the opposite, it was an incredible display of inner strength and conviction. The same can be said for figures like Nelson Mandela, who after being imprisoned for years, emerged not bitter and reactive, but with a sense of calm resolve that was rooted in non-reaction. The power of non-reaction doesn't come from a place of avoidance or fear, it comes from a deep understanding that you do not need to match negativity with negativity, anger with anger, or chaos with chaos. By not reacting, you maintain your own center of gravity, and in doing so, you become a beacon of stability for others. When you start to embody non-reaction, you will notice a shift in how people respond to you. Instead of fueling the flames of conflict, your calmness will disarm aggression. When faced with criticism, for example, instead of immediately defending yourself or justifying your actions, you can simply choose to listen, absorb, and reflect. This creates a space where you can better understand the situation before responding thoughtfully. In doing so, your responses are no longer driven by emotion, but by a clear, centered mind. This doesn't mean you will never express yourself or assert your boundaries. Rather, it means that your responses will be more thoughtful, measured, and grounded in clarity, not impulsive emotion. Non-reaction also allows you to be more intentional in your interactions. It's easy to get caught up in the rhythm of emotional exchanges, reacting to every little thing, feeling as though you must constantly defend yourself or prove a point. But this only detracts from your personal power. Instead, when you remain calm and non-reactive, you allow yourself to think strategically. Your words, actions, and decisions become more purposeful because they are no longer dictated by immediate emotional responses. You free yourself from the mental clutter that arises from constant reaction and create the mental space needed for clarity, creativity, and innovation. At the heart of non-reaction is emotional intelligence, the ability to understand and manage your emotions while recognizing and influencing the emotions of others. When you practice non-reaction, you become more attuned to your emotions and the triggers that spark them. You begin to recognize when a reaction is coming, and instead of letting it control you, you take a step back. You acknowledge the feeling without being governed by it. This is not suppression or denial, it's simply choosing not to let your emotions hijack your actions. The more you practice this, the stronger your emotional intelligence becomes, and the more effortlessly you can navigate emotionally charged situations with grace. But the benefits of non-reaction extend far beyond individual interactions. On a larger scale, choosing not to react in the face of adversity cultivates resilience. Life will always throw challenges your way: stress, criticism, failure, disappointment. These are inevitable. But how you respond to them is within your control. The more you cultivate non-reaction, the less power these challenges have over you. Instead of succumbing to negative emotions, you respond with composure and a clear mind, which enables you to think more critically about the situation and find solutions instead of being swept away by the current of emotion. Moreover, the practice of non-reaction leads to profound peace. When we react impulsively, we often make decisions that we later regret. We feel the aftermath of those reactions: guilt, regret, stress, anxiety. But when we choose to pause, take a deep breath, and reflect, we allow ourselves the space to respond with wisdom and integrity. This leads to fewer regrets and a stronger sense of inner peace. You no longer live in a state of constant emotional turbulence. Instead, you create a calm, steady rhythm in your life, and in that stillness, you can hear the quiet whispers of your intuition, guiding you toward your next step. The beauty of this practice is that it doesn't require a dramatic transformation. It's something you can start incorporating right now, in small moments throughout your day. The next time someone cuts you off in traffic, instead of reacting with frustration or anger, take a deep breath and smile.
8,
When someone criticizes you unfairly, resist the urge to snap back. Instead, simply pause, breathe, and ask yourself, what is the best way to respond here? You'll be amazed at how much more in control you feel and how much more empowered you become in every aspect of your life. The art of non-reaction is a powerful tool for personal growth and leadership. It's the foundation of self-control, emotional intelligence, and resilience. It's about stepping into your true power by choosing how you respond to the world rather than being a victim of your circumstances. By mastering this skill, you open the door to a life filled with peace, clarity, and purposeful action. And in that silence, your strength will speak louder than any reaction ever could. Chapter 11: Building a Life of Quiet Confidence and Clarity. The journey of mastering the art of not reacting is not just about avoiding emotional outbursts or finding a way to maintain control in difficult situations. It is about building a life where your inner peace is unshakable and your clarity of purpose is unwavering. Quiet control, when practiced consistently, transforms the way we approach life, changing the way we relate to ourselves and others, and even the way we navigate challenges and setbacks. As you continue this journey, you will begin to notice that your confidence grows, not from the loudness of your achievements or the external validation of others, but from the deep, unshakable sense of self that arises from being grounded in your own calm and clarity. At its core, quiet control fosters a sense of self-assuredness that doesn't need to be loud to be impactful. Confidence is often misinterpreted as something that must be expressed loudly, through words, actions, or constant validation. In reality, True confidence is rooted in the silence between the thoughts, in the stillness of your mind when everything around you is chaotic. It is in knowing who you are, what you stand for, and having the strength to act, not react, regardless of the situation. Quiet confidence is the ability to remain steadfast in your values, no matter how others behave or how challenging the environment becomes. It's the knowing that you do not need to prove anything to anyone. It is a calm, yet powerful assurance that radiates from within, independent of external circumstances. This kind of confidence emerges when you cease to seek approval from others and instead turn inward, trusting your own wisdom and judgment. It comes from practicing the pause, the ability to stop and think before you act. When you pause, you create space to connect with your true self. This is where your confidence lies, in your ability to remain grounded, centered, and responsive rather than reactive. It's an inner strength that gives you clarity and insight, even when the world seems overwhelming. Quiet confidence is not about being perfect or having all the answers. It's about trusting yourself enough to navigate the uncertainties of life with grace and calm. One of the key elements of living a life with quiet confidence is developing a sense of clarity. Clarity is the ability to see through the noise of life, to recognize your true desires and intentions, and to make decisions that align with your authentic self. When you practice emotional restraint and cultivate quiet control, you begin to cut through the clutter of conflicting emotions, external pressures, and distractions. Clarity is the natural result of the stillness you cultivate within. Without the constant chatter of emotional reactions or the noise of external influences, your mind becomes a clear space in which decisions can be made with precision and purpose. Clarity does not just come from mental focus, but from emotional balance as well. When you are not constantly reacting to the emotional storms around you, you create space for thoughtful reflection. You no longer feel rushed to make decisions, nor do you feel the need to act impulsively to defend or prove yourself. Instead, you respond with intention, knowing that your actions are rooted in a place of grounded wisdom and emotional clarity. This clarity allows you to assess situations more objectively, to evaluate your choices without the haze of fear or doubt clouding your judgment. The more you practice the art of quiet control, the more you will see how your life begins to reflect this clarity, a life where every step feels intentional, every decision feels aligned, and every challenge becomes an opportunity for growth rather than a cause for reaction. As you build your life with quiet confidence and clarity, you will notice how your relationships begin to shift as well. When you stop reacting, you stop feeding the drama, and in doing so you begin to create more harmonious interactions with others. The relationships that once felt chaotic and emotionally draining will begin to feel more peaceful and grounded. You will no longer feel the need to respond to every comment, every criticism, or every situation that demands your attention. You will find that people will begin to respect you more, not because you are louder or more forceful, but because you are steady, consistent, and thoughtful in your responses. In this newfound calm, you may also begin to realize that many of the things you used to react to simply don't matter as much as you thought they did. As you grow in emotional maturity, your capacity to discern between what is truly important and what is fleeting expands. You learn to choose your battles, to recognize what deserves your time and energy, and what can be left untouched. This clarity allows you to focus on what truly matters, on your purpose, your goals, and your relationships with those who align with your values. By consistently practicing quiet control, you begin to prioritize peace over pride, understanding over defensiveness, and growth over stagnation. Quiet confidence and clarity also provide you with the mental space to create the life you desire. When you are not distracted by emotional reactions, you are free to envision your future with greater intention. The stillness you cultivate through your practice opens up creative pathways that were previously blocked by knee-jerk reactions or limiting beliefs. As your thoughts become more focused and deliberate, you can begin to plan and manifest a life that aligns with your highest aspirations. You become more intentional with your actions, creating routines, habits, and practices that are in harmony with your vision for your life. This practice of intentionality also extends to how you handle challenges and setbacks. Life will always present obstacles, but when you are grounded in quiet control, you will find that setbacks no longer feel like insurmountable failures. Instead, they become part of the process, opportunities for learning and growth. Your confidence allows you to face these obstacles without panic, knowing that every experience, no matter how difficult, serves to strengthen your emotional resilience. The clarity you develop helps you navigate these challenges with purpose, and you become more adept at handling adversity with grace and patience. As you continue to build this life of quiet confidence and clarity, it's important to remember that this is not a destination but a continuous practice. It is not about perfection, it is about progress. Every time you choose not to react, every time you practice the pause, you are strengthening your inner foundation. There will be times when you stumble, when you react out of habit, but the beauty of this journey lies in the fact that you can always return to the practice. With each day, your ability to remain composed and centered will grow, and you will find that your life begins to reflect the calm, confident, and clear energy that you embody. In the end, building a life of quiet confidence and clarity is about creating a foundation of inner strength that is impervious to external chaos. It is about becoming so rooted in your own sense of self that nothing on the outside can shake your sense of peace. This is the true power of quiet control, the ability to live with unwavering confidence, knowing that you are not swayed by the storms of life, but instead move through them with grace, wisdom, and clarity. The more you practice, the more you will find that your quiet control becomes not just a tool, but a way of life. You will learn that your greatest power lies not in reacting to the world around you, but in shaping your response from a place of inner peace and clarity. And in this power, you will find your true strength. Conclusion, your path to unshakable peace. As we reach the end of this journey, remember that the power of not reacting is not a destination but a lifelong practice. It requires patience, discipline, and a commitment to self-awareness. You've learned that true strength doesn't lie in immediate responses, but in the quiet space between a trigger and your reaction. By mastering this art, you've unlocked the potential to live with unshakable peace and clarity, regardless of external circumstances. Every moment of stillness you embrace brings you closer to a life where your emotions no longer control you, but where you, in turn, shape the world around you with calm, intentional actions. Continue to cultivate this power within, knowing that each step you take towards non-reaction builds resilience and inner strength. Let this peace guide you, not just today, but as an enduring foundation for every challenge you face in the future.